Hey there, Broncos Country. Listen up, Denver Broncos family. I need to talk to you about something that's been keeping me up at night. And when I say this could determine whether we're going to soar high or crash hard this season, I'm not exaggerating one bit. Stick with me until the end, because what I'm about to reveal here could completely change how you see our team right now. We started with 2 wins, 2 losses. That's football. The season is long, right? But there's something happening behind the scenes on the field that's silently undermining any chance we have of making noise in the AFC West. And the worst part? This is completely within our control. The solution is in our hands, but for some reason, we can't seem to fix it. Broncos Country. Before I dive deep into this issue that's been bothering me profoundly, tell me here in the comments, have you noticed something strange in our games? Something that repeats itself that always seems to hurt us at crucial moments? Leave your opinion because I want to know if you're seeing the same problem I am. Let's put the current situation in context. We're sitting at 2 wins and 2 losses after 4 weeks. On paper, it seems balanced, right? We won when we needed to win and stumbled at a few moments. But when you look at the numbers, at the statistics, at what's happening within those 4 lines, a worrying pattern emerges. And this pattern has nothing to do with talent, nothing to do with tactical schemes or the individual quality of our players. Sean Payton, our head coach, has an impressive track record. Historically, he wins about 70% of his games in October and November. That means we're about to enter the phase of the season where this man traditionally dominates. The expectation is that we'll explode, that we'll show all the potential this roster has. But there's a massive boulder in our path, and if we don't remove it now, we're going to stumble hard. In Week 4, we rolled over the Bengals. It was a convincing victory, the kind that makes fans breathe a sigh of relief and think, all right, now we're rolling. The offense worked, the defense did its job, and at the end of the day, we came away with the win. But even in that game, even dominating a theoretically weaker opponent, the problem persisted. It was there, screaming, demanding attention, but somehow we still couldn't eliminate it. Now, Week 5, we're facing the Philadelphia Eagles. And look, I'm not going to lie to you, family. This is a completely different challenge. The Eagles are good exactly where it matters most in modern football. They know how to close out games. They're smart. They capitalize on opponents' mistakes. If we commit the same errors we've been committing in recent weeks, you can bet Philadelphia will punish us without mercy. Let's get to the central point. Let's get to what really matters. Let's talk about the elephant in the room that everyone sees but few are giving proper attention to. Penalties, that's right. Broncos Country. Penalties, fouls, unnecessary infractions. Lack of discipline on the field. In the first 4 weeks of the 2025 season, the Denver Broncos committed 31 penalties. 31! That puts us tied for 7th among teams that commit the most fouls in the entire league. We're in the same category as Tampa Bay and Dallas in this negative aspect. That's practically, on average, 8 penalties per game, people. Think about it with me. Each penalty is a lost play. It's a wasted opportunity. It's field position given as a gift to the opponent. In modern football, where every yard matters, where every possession can define the final result, you simply cannot afford to commit so many fouls. And what frustrates me deeply, what's keeping anyone who truly understands football up at night, is that this is completely avoidable. We're not talking about lack of talent. We're not talking about technical or physical deficiencies. We're talking about discipline. We're talking about clean execution. We're talking about playing with intelligence and emotional control. Sean Payton, in all his post-game press conferences, talks about this. He repeats it like a mantra. We need to clean up the penalties. He knows. The team knows. Everyone knows. But still, week after week, we continue to see those yellow flags flying across the field at critical moments. Against Cincinnati, which was technically a weaker opponent, a team we should dominate from start to finish, I expected to see a clean game. I expected the team to show discipline, to execute the game plan without making silly mistakes. But no, even in victory, the penalties kept appearing, offensive fouls that negate big yardage gains, defensive fouls that give new life to drives that were dying. Penalties on third down situations that automatically give the opponent a first down. These things simply cannot happen if you want to be a playoff team, if you want to compete for the division title. And here's a truth many people don't want to hear, but needs to be said. It doesn't matter how talented your roster is. It doesn't matter how good your tactical scheme is. If you keep shooting yourself in the foot with unnecessary penalties, you're not going far. It's simple math. It's basic football. Let's talk about the upcoming game against Philadelphia. The Eagles are masters at capitalizing on opponents' mistakes. They have one of the best late-game management systems in the league. They know exactly how to exploit a defensive penalty to keep a drive alive. They know how an opponent's offensive foul can completely change the momentum of a game. If we show up in Philadelphia committing the same volume of penalties we've been committing, forget it. We're going to come home with an ugly loss and fall to a losing record. And then, Broncos Country, then the situation starts to get really complicated because look at the opportunity that's in front of us. The AFC West is completely open this season. Los Angeles has obvious problems. Kansas City also isn't playing that dominant football from previous years. The division is right there, begging to be conquered. But we'll only be able to if we solve these basic discipline problems. Imagine the frustration. Imagine having a competitive roster, having a winning coach, having all the necessary pieces to have a great season, but losing games because of avoidable fouls. It's hair-pulling stuff. It's maddening for any fan who truly loves this team. And, between you and me, family, what worries me most isn't necessarily the number of penalties itself, but what it represents. Excessive penalties are usually a symptom of something bigger. It could be lack of focus. It could be lack of preparation during the week. It could be players trying to compensate for technical limitations with physical play beyond what's allowed. It could simply be just lack of discipline. Whatever the root cause, the coaching staff needs to identify and correct it immediately. Because if in the first 4 weeks, in full practices, in complete preparation, with all the time in the world to adjust, the problem persists, imagine when the season really tightens up. Imagine in those decisive moments of November and December when each game can determine whether you go to the playoffs or stay home. Let's be honest, this team has the potential to make noise. The defense, when locked in, can contain any offense in the league. Our offense, when it finds rhythm, is capable of scoring points against anyone. But none of that matters if we keep giving away extra yards, first downs, and opportunities to the opponent that they didn't earn. Think about the frustration of the fan who's there in the stadium, screaming, supporting, giving everything for the team, and sees their team march down the field on a wonderful drive, only for a silly penalty to negate it all. Or worse, seeing the defense force along third down the opponent fail, and then an unnecessary defensive foul gives new breath to the opponent's drive that ends in a touchdown. These situations aren't hypothetical. They're happening every game, and they need to stop now. Sean Payton is not an inexperienced coach. He knows how to build disciplined teams. He's done it before. So the question remains, what's being done during the week to correct this? What adjustments are being implemented? Because whatever's being done so far clearly isn't working. Maybe it's time to toughen up the internal consequences. Maybe players who commit silly penalties need to lose snaps. Maybe a more rigid accountability system is necessary. Maybe we need more practice reps focused specifically on situations where penalties tend to occur. What we can't do is continue the way we are. Because the season doesn't wait. The AFC West doesn't wait. The playoffs don't wait. If we don't correct this quickly, we're going to wake up in January watching other teams play while we're stuck at home lamenting what could have been. And look, I know some people might be thinking, but we're only in week 5. There's a lot of season left. True, but that's exactly why we need to act now. It's exactly because there's still time that we need to correct before it's too late. Before we dig a hole so deep it becomes impossible to get out. Let's compare ourselves to the best teams in the league. The teams that year after year are competing for titles. You don't see these teams committing 8 penalties per game because they understand that at the NFL level, where all teams have incredible athletes, where everyone has smart coaches, the margins are minimal. Whoever makes fewer mistakes usually wins, and it's not just the quantity of penalties that's concerning. It's the timing of them. How many times have we seen fouls happen at critical moments? On third downs, in red zone situations, at moments where a simple defensive stop would completely change the game. These are the moments that define seasons. You want to know what's the difference between a 9-win team and a 12-win team? Often it's these details. It's these tight games where whoever makes fewer mistakes takes the victory. And if we keep giving unnecessary advantages to opponents, we're going to be on the wrong side of those tight scores. Broncos Country, and you folks at home, how do you think the team should solve this? Would you bench players, increase internal fines, change the practice approach? I want to see you debating this in the comments because it's an important discussion for our season. Look at the scenario we have ahead. After Philadelphia, we're going to face teams that are all fighting for their seasons. Each opponent will come with everything. Each game will be a war. If we're not at our best, if we don't play clean and disciplined football, we're going to suffer. And there's another side to this coin that needs to be discussed. When you commit a lot of penalties, it psychologically affects the entire team. Players start playing with hesitation, afraid of committing another foul. Natural aggressiveness decreases because of fear of the yellow flag. And then you lose that advantage that comes from playing with complete confidence. What makes me optimistic is knowing this has a solution. We're not talking about deep structural problems. We're not talking about lack of talent that can't be corrected. We're talking about execution, about discipline, about attention to detail. And these things can be fixed if there's commitment and focus, but it needs to happen quickly. Because each week that passes with the same problem is a wasted week. It's a lost opportunity. It's a step backward in the race for the division. Think about what this team can be when playing with discipline. An aggressive defense that doesn't give away yards for free. An offense that keeps drives alive on its own merit, not because the opponent committed a foul. Special teams that make a difference without silly mistakes. That's the team that can compete with anyone, but to get there, it takes work. It takes adjustments. It takes every player, every coach, every person involved with the team understanding the gravity of the situation and committing to the solution. And here's my honest opinion. If we don't correct this in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to watch this season slip through our hands. We're going to see theoretically inferior teams beat us because they knew how to capitalize on our mistakes. We're going to finish December looking back and thinking about what could have been different. I don't want that to happen. You who are watching don't want that to happen. So we need to demand. We need to insist that the team and coaching staff treat this as the #1 priority it really is. Because look, Denver Broncos family, I believe in this team so much. I believe in the roster's talent. I believe in Sean Payton's ability as a coach. But believing isn't enough. It takes execution. It takes results, and the results will only appear when we stop sabotaging ourselves, when we stop committing these fouls that are costing us games and opportunities, when we play the clean and disciplined football that winning teams play. The path to the division title is open. The season still has everything to be special, but only if we solve this problem now, only if we treat this with the urgency it deserves, only if every person involved with the team understands that we can't continue like this anymore. So, here's my final message. 31 penalties in 4 games is unacceptable. Period. There's no justification. There's no excuse. It needs to change. And it needs to change now. Now I want to hear from you, Broncos Country. If you made it this far, if you watched until the end, do you agree with me? Are you also worried about this penalty issue? Or do you think I'm exaggerating? Leave it in the comments because I read them all and want to know each of your opinions. And if you're truly Broncos Country, if you bleed orange and blue, if you want to follow every analysis, every deep discussion about our team, then you need to be subscribed to this channel. Hit that subscribe button because there's new content for the family every day. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. And share this video with that friend of yours who's also a Broncos fanatic because this discussion needs to reach everyone. About the upcoming game against Philadelphia, I'm nervous but hopeful. I know we can win. I know we have the team for it. But it needs to be a clean game. It needs to be a disciplined performance, because if the penalties show up again, it's going to be a very long afternoon for all of us. Let me ask you something. Which penalty has frustrated you the most so far this season? Is there one you remember that completely changed the course of a game? Tell us down below, because I bet everyone has that specific foul that stuck with them. And look, it's not just about numbers. Sure, 31 penalties is a lot. But it's also about timing. It's about impact. A penalty at the beginning of the game is bad. But a penalty in the final minutes of a tight game? That can cost the entire season. That's why discipline isn't just a detail. It's the foundation. It's the basis on which winning teams are built. You can have the best quarterback in the world, but if your offensive line is constantly committing holding penalties, he's going to spend the game running for his life. You can have the best secondary in the league, but if your linebackers keep getting pass interference calls, you're going to give the opponent first downs all the time. It's all connected. It's all related. And that's why this penalty problem isn't isolated. It contaminates everything. It affects every aspect of the game. So here's my challenge to the team. Show that you can play with discipline. Show that you can execute the game plan without silly mistakes. Show that you're a mature, professional team that understands what it takes to win in the NFL. And for you, the fan, my challenge is different. Keep supporting. Keep believing. But also keep demanding. Because a passionate fan isn't one who only celebrates. It's one who points out problems, who demands corrections, who wants to see the team always improve. The 2025 season can be special for the Denver Broncos family. But it will only be if we correct what needs to be corrected, if we adjust what's wrong, if we elevate our level of play to where it needs to be. So let's cheer, let's support, but let's also demand excellence. Because that's what this team deserves. That's what this fan base deserves. That's what all of Broncos Country deserves. So what do you say, Denver Broncos family? Are you with me on this? Do you also think penalties are the biggest problem? Or is there something else that's bothering you more? Speak up in the comments. Leave that for the algorithm to push this video to more people in the family. Share it with friends who are Broncos to the core. And we'll see you in the next video with more hot takes about our team. Broncos Country, let's go together. Until next time! And as always, go Broncos!